Let's look at pick 9. So Melbourne have secured that. What does that mean?
So this was a deal that has been done now. So Melbourne got pick 9 and a future third. Essendon got their own pick 1 in and made in a whole lot of other picks later in the draft from Melbourne. The deal with this is they get Isaac Kako essentially for free, the way this works out. So they'll match an academy bid on Isaac Kako. Essendon will. He's in their academy. As long as the bid is past pick 7, then they can basically give up 28 and 31, get him in the door. That's pretty much a free hit. They get a future first from Melbourne. Now Melbourne has 2 picks in the top 10. So as you said before, Dale, I think this is good business for both sides. Melbourne gets straight in the top 10. They came over the top of North Melbourne to do it. A lot of teams were trying to haggle for that pick 9 because they knew Essendon didn't want it in the long term. And Essendon gets that free hit next year as well.
Is there any chance that someone bids prior to pick 7?
Well, the talk was Melbourne was the one that would be interested at pick 5. So I think there's some kind of we don't like to see these handshake deals now, but I think that's probably part of it. Is please don't bid on him before then. And even so, they have all these picks in the back end. And what it opens up for Essendon as well is they can package those picks in the back end. They have 4 or 5. They probably won't need for Kako. They have 2 in the first round next year, their own and Melbourne's now, so they can get back into the draft on draft night if teams want to get out.
Interesting in the Kako, small forward. You can see what Essendon are trying to build in their front half, can't you, Glennie?
Definitely you can, and can play, Dicko, and it's exactly what they need. He's the player they need. So Johnny Ruff was all over this last night, this particular. I think it's a good move. I think it's great for Melbourne too, in a lot of ways. We can see Kako here. Yeah. Doesn't he look a player? He's seriously
entertaining.
Think about the future with Caddy, who they got with pick 10 last year, so there's your big key forward. And they've got a handful of youngsters that are still making their way at the Bombers. Then you put this young kid at his feet. Like, there's your tall and your small for possibly the next 10 to 15 years. That is exciting from a Bombers perspective.
Glennie, let's talk about Melbourne. They are a complete mess, but you're on record to say not their recruiting.
No, I think this is an area where they're not a complete mess. Mess is a fair word. It's been a debacle, hasn't it? Let's be honest. Debacle is probably a better word than mess. In the sense of the way they've been able to operate, in a sense from, so many things have gone wrong. Culture-wise, player-wise, they haven't won a final in a number of years. But what they have been able to do is I think they've been able to put away some good players. Caleb Windsor, Colton Tholstrup they're going to be 10 to 15 year players. And what they're going to do is get 2 players in this draft. They're going to be outstanding. So I think what they're doing is sort of rebuilding, reshaping on the run, Dal. It almost is, isn't it?
And then you start to pose the question with the future picks in it. What are you trading out? What does next year look like? And the clubs have gone to work on the future drafts and the value of this one. And then the question is, can the Dees turn this around? So there's been going for 12 months. Let's just say roughly 12 months to the day that things haven't been going right for the Dees, off-field, on-field. Can they turn this around? Now, you look at their playing list, and they've still got the talent and a system that has stacked up against some of the best teams in the comp. Can they flip this on their head and actually make that trade not look as bad if they finish higher up on the ladder?
Yeah, well, it is a bet by Essendon, really, that they think Melbourne's probably going to finish a little bit lower. Then that works out, obviously, in Essendon's favour. But what Melbourne's strength is drafting. They've really nailed the draft over the last 10 years or so. Their recruiting of mature age players hasn't gone that well, but their drafting has been excellent. And they want to be good for 10 years. It didn't work out this year, but they want to stay at the top. And if you get in first rounders over and over again, that's how you do it. You saw just there, they've got pick 9 and 49. I think 49 will go to Brisbane for Harry Sharp. That's the deal on the table at the moment. For picks 5 and 9, another 2 top 10s, that's how you stay good for years and years to come.
All right, let's look at Essendon's picks. So look to be going young there, Glennie.
They do.
What does that look like, though, for Stringer?
Well, I think Stringer's got to go, doesn't he, in that sense? We know that he spent the weekend working through potentially going to GWS, and what are they prepared to give up for him? That's the thing, Dal. This is the interesting point, isn't it? Like when you look at, they're not prepared, obviously, GWS, to give up pick 37. I think that seems too strong to give up for Jake Stringer. Will Essendon accept pick 53 or 56? I'm not sure what you're thinking there, Dal, in a sense, but what's he worth? If he's at his best, he's worth that 37.
We chat about this guy every single week. It's a really difficult one. Because if you're Essendon, it's been pretty open that they want to move him on. But when it comes to trading him, you have to pump him up and say, hey, he's a match winner. He kicks over 40 goals. We don't want to lose him. You go, hang on a second. You came to us. You're the one that's saying you're trying to clear him off your books. I think this one gets a bit messy. We've experienced this in years gone by. And Jake has been through this at the Western Bulldogs when he got to the Bombers. It's happening again. I think there's a piece of ego here for Jake that I don't know him at all, so it's not a personal thing. But this will be a bit of a reality check by saying, geez, this has happened to me twice. And my only value in the comp is possibly 53 or 56 or possibly both. It doesn't look great. But that may be all that they can get on the way back, the Bombers.
I look at it and go, right, he goes to the Giants. Like, he's chaos in that forward line.
Oh, absolutely.
That, to me, is he's a moments player. Let's go with that. He'll come in and out, but that's what he does. And when the moment's there, sometimes he grabs it, and 9 times out of 10
Isn't that Toby's role? Toby's already got that role.
2 moments in their forward line, that's
How's
amazing.
that? The 2 moments. And Toby obviously didn't have the greatest of years. You would expect him to hit back pretty hard. But if someone's looking after Toby, what does that mean for Jake if he's a bit loose there as well? I mean loose in the other sense, not in the real loose sense.
And then you think their forward line's pretty solid. I mean, Jesse Hogan, the best key forward in the competition. Riccardi is okay when he's up and going. You know, what do they need? Is it Jake Stringer? Not necessarily, but can he make them better? Yes, he can.